Welcome back to Shine, the Yoga for the People podcast. I'm your host, Kari, and as always, with me is
Ramah.
Always. So last time we talked about the Four Noble Truths, which are suffering exists.
Right.
We cause suffering.
Yes.
We can stop suffering.
Correct.
And the way we stop suffering is through the yoga, and not just the twisting yourself into a pretzel. It's the learning. It's all the paths of yoga.
Which I think a lot of people aren't aware about.
Right.
That there are paths in yoga and that it's an actual
system, philosophy.
And lifestyle, right?
Yeah. Yep. And if you hear other things in the background, it's because we have an audience today.
We do.
Yay. Thank you for being the audience.
To our children.
Yes, our children.
We love them.
So we suffer because of the kleshas, which are the obstacles that cause suffering. And the first klesha is avidya, A-V-I-D-Y-A, which means ignorance.
Okay.
So let me flip in my book.
So ignorance is one of the reasons we suffer?
Ignorance is one of the reasons we suffer. And there's different types of ignorance. So, okay, let me get out. I have too many books because I don't trust myself to remember things. So I need...
Can I help you in any way, shape, or form?
No, because I have way too many places that I've bookmarked as well. Okay. The stuff I just cut out. We have a very good editor. She makes us sound very good.
Yeah.
So shout out to Nikki. So
she's going to leave that part in.
She is. She better. Yes. So in the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, in book 2, so it's 2.3. I want to make sure I got it. Yep, 2.3. It says ignorance, egoism, attachment, hatred, and clinging to bodily life are the 5 obstacles. And then 2.4 says ignorance is the field for the others mentioned after it, whether they be dormant, feeble, intercepted, or sustained. So all the other kleshas, all the other obstacles are because of ignorance. Ignorance is the reason it's number 1 is because no, Kitty, you can't have Dr. Pepper. The cat is ignorant of the fact that it can't have Dr. Pepper. So there's ignorance, and then all else comes from ignorance. So because of ignorance of the self, egoism comes. Because of egoism, there's attachment to things for the ego's selfish pleasure.
Right.
Because sometimes the things we are attached to do not come or are taken away. Hatred for those who get in our way comes in. And finally, because we are attached to things and afraid of death, there is clinging to life in the body.
Right.
So when we talk about ignorance, it says that ignorance can be dormant, feeble, intercepted, or sustained. So feeble or attenuated ignorance. So a person is not completely free of kleshas or obstacles, but they are in his or her mind in very subtle trace forms. They have sunk to the bottom of the mental lake and are out of disuse and have become very weak. So our ignorance, we're always ignorant.
Right.
But we could have the type of ignorant that is just very weak.
I mean, also is, we also can go in with well, is there a choice to stay ignorant?
Yes.
Yes.
I think that's sustained ignorance. There's
That
so
makes
much
sense.
about ignorance in here. The fourth type of ignorance is the sustained, and it's seen in the case of average people. Every minute, their minds are affected by the obstructions. They have no say over them because they're not exerting any force to control them. Imagine there's a nice performance at a nightclub. A friend is going and invites you to come. Let's say you feel drawn to go, but finally you decide, I have seen hundreds of shows like that. What can I gain by another one? No, I'm going to a Raja Yoga lecture instead. The obstacle is there, but you overpower it. That is intercepted.
Right.
That's intercepted ignorance. Like, it's there, but you say no. If you continue with such discipline, the obstacle will sink to the bottom, but since a trace will still be there, occasionally you'll be reminded of it. Why shouldn't I go to a club? No, I'm not going. It just comes up to remind you I'm still here. That's feeble. In the case of average people, the moment a nightclub is thought of, both legs immediately go towards it, and the people simply follow. From there, they probably go to an adjoining bar, and so on. In their case, the obstacles are sustained.
Okay.
So, I don't know how I feel about the nightclub.
That was a weird
It was a weird
analogy.
one, but if you're like a super duper deep yogi, like the guy that interpreted this is Sri Swami.
Yeah, bro. He looks wise AF.
Yep.
He really does. He's got a long. You guys can't see it, but he's got a long gray beard, long hair. He really looks like he's about to tell you something secret. So.
Yep. Sitting on a bench. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he probably never goes to nightclubs.
But I understand the point of the analogy is don't, just because you've experienced one thing doesn't mean you've experienced all things, and even if they're similar. And so you should keep your mind open to having these new experiences. You know what I mean? And,
Right.
and instead of just saying, I've already done that once, because it could be different and you could learn something, and that's what he's saying.
Right. He's also saying that I shouldn't give up my intention of study for momentary fun,
Right.
I guess.
I guess.
But-
I don't know. It was hard to follow.
Sorry.
What? It's not you. It's his weird analogy. That's not you. It's just a weird thing to say. Like, but for him, culturally, it makes sense. But for us, it's like, what do you mean? But like, to me, that's what I heard. And then, obviously, you know what you're talking about. So I believe you.
Thank you. I have the illusion that I know what I'm talking about.
The source of all knowledge. I almost hit myself. It's fine. Okay.
Okay.
Anyway, continue.
You were ignorant of how close your face was to the microphone. Ignorance is not just not knowing something. There are levels, like I said, dormant, feeble, intercepted, sustained. So not knowing or refusing to acknowledge differences.
Mm-hmm.
I'm colorblind.
I
I
hate
don't
that.
see color.
Bro, I hate that so much. I hate that saying. And when I taught, I used to tell my class, like, don't ever say that. That sounds like so stupid to me. Like cultural diversity and psychology, when I would teach units about cultural diversity, I would be like, this sounds so stupid, because tell me, if somebody steals your car from you, what's the first thing you're going to use to describe them? You're not colorblind. You see color. You just choose not to acknowledge or base your opinion of somebody on it.
Right.
So don't say stuff like that, because that actually, to me, makes you sound ignorant.
Right.
And
exactly.
yes, you do. Everybody sees color,
Yes.
Imagine, it's fine. Whatever.
Yep. So there are differences between permanent and impermanent, pure and impure, and not in the evangelical Christian definition. Non-self and self, which we talked about last time.
Mm-hmm.
We are not our bodies. You are not sick. The body is sick.
Right.
And that is where That's the big ignorance, is like in the beginning, ignorance leads to egoism because we identify ourselves with our egos.
Right.
And we are not our egos.
Right.
We are not our bodies. We are not our brains.
Right.
I don't even know. I am still learning what the self is. But I know that my mind is not myself.
Mm-hmm.
My humanness is not, like you kept calling it, a meat sack. But
It is. It's literally all it is.
Yep.
I just think that people very much underestimate who they are in the universe.
True.
And I think a lot of people, that's a form of ignorance for them. And then I think on the other end, when you let ignorance take hold and you do let your ego, we end up with current administrative choices within our country. You know,
Right.
those types of people, you people.
Those people. The others.
Terribles. The big, mean nasties.
Right.
That's who you turn into when you let your ignorance rule. I mean, like you said, everything is based in ignorance as far as, you know, because like racism, homophobia, all of that is ignorance. And the sustainability happens when you choose to not talk about it and learn about it. It's just, they're different. I don't like that.
Right.
Which is crazy.
Right.
But
this talks about Twilight being dangerous.
like the movie.
I was gonna say not the movie, but that could be
This
it.
is the yoga of a killer, Bella.
Oh my god.
You should see
Loca.
me. You should see me do downward dog while I'm biting some. I don't even know what Twilight's about, to be honest. I know it's vampires.
Vampires, sparkly vampires.
At that.
Yes.
Yeah.
They sparkle.
That's literally all I know.
I've only seen 2 of them. But I have no desire. And I like vampires. So
Yeah, I don't feel like it's a vampire. I think it's more of like a love story.
yes,
It's more of a...
the eternalness of love. I mean, I guess I could go into it with a yogic philosophy viewpoint and see it from this idea of clinging to life.
Sure. Yeah.
Since vampires don't die unless
They're so lucky.
you kill them, I guess. Anywho.
They also get to sleep in coffins, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's for the...
Squirrel.
That's for the next one. Okay.
Yeah. So Twilight, as in, as the sun's going down and it's not quite light and it's not quite dark,
Right.
is dangerous. It's dangerous when you have an astigmatism, and it's dangerous when you've had LASIK surgery.
Or dementia.
True.
Those
Sundowning.
Sundowners, yeah.
Yep. So, in multiple ways, Twilight is dangerous.
It's very interesting, though, honestly, the spiritual changes that happen at night.
Yeah.
You know, I don't sleep a lot at night. And so it's interesting to feel the whole just kind of shift around that time. It truly is just different. And I think everybody feels it. And but I don't think they realize what they feel.
Slightly off topic, but you know how I've been sending you lots of pictures of sunrises and sunsets?
Yeah.
There is a word for someone that loves sunsets and finds peace and serenity and calm in sunsets.
Really?
Yes.
What is it? Do you know?
It is.
You gotta Google it.
No, I saved the picture of it.
Oh, perfect. That's
I have
fantastic.
way too many screenshots on my phone.
Duh, you have no idea.
Apocryphile.
Apocryphile?
Apocryphile? Is that how you would say that?
Yeah, I guess. Or
OPA?
A paracarophile?
A paracarophile.
That's funnier to say.
Yeah. OPA CARO
Apocryphile.
file.
All right. Nice.
Someone who finds deep comfort, solace, and profound peace in sunsets.
Yeah. That
That's
makes
me.
sense. Me too. I have a million pictures of sunsets on my phone.
Oh, yeah. And I
Clouds.
I will do a time lapse video. If you've seen my time lapse videos of sunrises, because I just find them
They're just amazing. It's really cool to. Yeah, that's why Ben and I film the sunset every year on our anniversary.
I love that.
Well, he films it. I'm not that romantic or driven, and I don't want to be away from my phone for that long. He has that capability. I don't. I need that stimulation, but he has that capability to put his phone down and go and find something else to do, and for hours, and I don't have that. So
I do it in the morning, when I'm starting my day, getting her ready for school, making the coffee. So I'm not on my phone. I'm running around. And
right. Yeah, that makes sense.
so I love that I found the hyperlapse thing on my phone. But twilight is dangerous. In total darkness, nothing can be seen. And we know nothing can be seen. So we know that we're ignorant. And we know we can't see anything.
Right.
In broad daylight, we see clearly. In dull light, we make mistakes.
Okay.
If you are in total darkness, you don't even know pain. Is what it says.
I don't know about that.
So
that seems a little hasty to say that to somebody.
Well, you don't know what you don't know.
You don't know what you don't know, sure, but that doesn't mean you don't know pain.
I'm saying what it says here.
Oh.
Where? What did I'm trying to find the story.
Okay.
Oh, here it is. Once a man walked into the backyard of his house during twilight. All of a sudden, in the dark corner, he saw a coiled snake. Frightened, he yelled, "Snake, snake!" His voice roused a number of people who came running with sticks. They advanced slowly toward the corner, and one bold fellow with a particularly long pointed stick, giggity, gave the snake a hard blow.
Giggity.
Yep. Nothing happened. Suddenly, an old man arrived with a lantern. He brought the lantern near the corner where the snake was. The light revealed nothing but a coiled rope. The old man laughed. "Look at all of you blind people groping in darkness. There's nothing but a rope here, and you took it for a snake. In order to understand the rope as a rope, a light was necessary. We too need a light, the light of wisdom. With such a light, the world is no longer a world, and all the qualities we call the non-self appear in their true nature. If you are completely ignorant, groping in the darkness, you will not even see the rope, the pains of the world.
I mean, yeah.
And you want to understand the truth. So yoga is neither for a person who has gained the light, nor for the totally ignorant person who doesn't bother to know anything. It is for the person in between. It is to dispel this ignorance that yoga is practiced.
Yeah. Okay, so I think that maybe we shouldn't say you don't know pain, but the ignorance in the world, a lot of that, Ben and I talk about this a lot, like how nice it would be to be so oblivious.
Right.
Like
ignorance is bliss.
Right. You should not choose to be oblivious. And most people do choose to be oblivious in this day and age. Like you almost have to. You have to make a very valid choice, like strong choice to be like, okay, I'm going to not involve myself in any social media, not talk to anybody, not watch any TV. Like you literally have to sit in a house by yourself in order to not know what's going on.
True ignorance is a choice at this point.
True ignorance is a choice at this point is what I'm trying to say. Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely. It is very hard for me to believe that anybody is unaware of anything that is happening at this point.
Right. You would have to live off the grid in a commune.
Off the grid in a commune with access to no electronics at all.
Right.
Or newspapers or anything like that.
Right. Similar, it's like when the hoodie I'm wearing is from Feudal Device, my friend AK Crucial, and it says, paid agitator.
Nice.
And I was trying to hype them up, and someone said, well, I wasn't wearing this one. I was wearing the one that says, we will outlive their hate.
Mm-hmm.
And someone commented, we won't outlive it if we keep buying into capitalism.
Mm. Mm.
And I said, I totally understand where you're coming from. But the sad reality is that unless we live off the grid in a commune, you have to participate in capitalism.
You have to, even on a commune. I mean, they still have to buy things. They still you know what I mean?
Right.
But I agree. I understand. Wouldn't that be lovely? You know, we all just stop buying shit. That would be great, you know, but we can't do that, unfortunately.
No, because even if like you had your own cows, if are you going to hand milk your cows?
Right.
If you lived on a commune and you have to pasteurize things, you really shouldn't drink raw milk.
They do be doing that, though.
I know they be doing that, but thank you, RFK.
Facts.
But yeah, so that goes with, at this point, ignorance is a choice. That person, while having good intention, is choosing to be ignorant of the fact that the reality is the reality, and you have to participate in capitalism in some way. You can be very intentional with your capitalism, such as purchasing from local, independent, marginalized people.
Right.
Like I Leave Breadcrumbs, Mr. Seams, going to local shops.
Personal plug for the Witch Lab.
Yep.
On Central Avenue.
Yes.
That's, I think it's still on. Oh, no. I think they moved to Central.
Okay.
That's my personal plug for small business in Columbus.
Yep. Feudal Device, Patty Cake Bakery will give you a free coffee if you bring in a receipt from an immigrant-owned business.
Nice.
Yeah, and that has no limit. That's forever and ever.
Right. North Central is where they are.
North Central.
Yeah. Go check out I mean, that's just my personal little.
So, ignorance at this point is a choice. And so if you are choosing to be ignorant and stay in the dark, this podcast is not for you.
Correct.
If you are in twilight, this podcast is for you.
Right.
When it comes to social justice, stereotypes stem from ignorance.
Sure.
That whole, I don't see color, or everyone's the same, or everyone should be like me.
All lives matter.
All lives matter. Yeah, where have those people been in the past couple of weeks?
Yeah, where are the pro-lifers? Where are they with people getting shot?
Right.
Murdered in our streets.
They're pro-life, but they're also pro-2A.
Yeah, but now they're not.
No.
They're walking away.
Now they're
Wait
not.
a second. Now the government's, weaponizing the Constitution against me. Yep. Oh, no.
So being purposely ignorant creates stereotypes. It creates discrimination.
I just caught this out of midair. It's cat hair.
Nice.
Ninja. Sorry.
That's okay.
It was floating right in front of me. What was I supposed to do?
Right.
So, I think, okay. Ignorance at this point is most definitely a choice, and I think we need to drive that home again. That if you are still choosing to believe what the right wing is saying, if you're choosing to believe that even what the left wing is saying at this point, and not understanding that they are part of the same bird, that's insane. Don't be ignorant to it. Just don't close your eyes to it. It is so hard to hear the news, especially right now. And I've actually had to stop Ben from reading it a few times because it is so triggering and so troubling and so disgusting. But you cannot sit there and just la 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 la. You can't do that because literally, because at this point you are, by doing that. So
swadhyaya, or self-study, study of self.
That's so much fun to say.
Swadhyaya.
Swadhyaya.
We should write a song about swadhyaya.
Swadhyaya. I said swadhyaya. Swadhyaya.
SV
Svad?
but it's swad. Adyaya.
Frankenstein.
Swadhyaya
Swadhyaya.
is study of self and study, like study of ancient texts. So studying yourself, and you could literally like look in a mirror and study yourself if that's what you want, or meditate, go in, like find.
I think that's I think the introspection is.
Yes.
And honestly, there's more than one way to meditate. So, people really want to take meditation literally and be like sitting there still quiet while your mind should be quiet. Yeah, that's just everything's meditation though. Prayer is meditation.
Is it like everything's tuberculosis?
Maybe. Is everything tuberculosis?
John Green wrote a book called Everything is Tuberculosis. So I haven't read it, but my mother-in-law has.
I love John Green though.
Yeah.
Anyway, so pop that thought bubble.
Meditation. It's not just sitting there.
It's not just sitting there. You know, it doesn't have to be, I guess is what I'm saying. So, you know, like if you work alone a lot and you just pop music onto your headphones and you're, you know, whatever, you can not easily for some people, I guess, you could have conversations with yourself about yourself.
Right.
There, you know, everybody needs to improve.
Right.
Everyone.
And there's basic ways, like if you can look up videos by John Kabat-Zinn, you can, and he's the mindfulness-based stress reduction and mindfulness-based cognitive therapy.
Right.
And his mindfulness is not philosophically based at all. It doesn't come from yoga.
Right.
It obviously was inspired by it, but he does, you know, the mindfulness of breath is where he starts, and then like mindfulness of sound.
Sure.
Mindfulness of sense, and
that's where we come in, like when you're having an anxiety attack, you're like, name 3 things you see or 5 things, however you want to do it.
Right.
That's part of mindfulness.
Right.
And understanding your own body and knowing what calms you down and what helps you, that's part of mindfulness.
Right. And when I'm going to do a video, people have asked me how to meditate. They want to get into meditation and they just don't know if their minds can be quiet that long. And I said, but that's not the point. It's not a competition. It's not I have to be so productive at my meditation and do it right. There isn't a right. It's being present to what is happening.
Right.
And when I was first taught to meditate, I actually went to a Buddhist service, and they said if you never meditated before, the first place to start is just sit there and just pay attention to your breath. And in your mind, literally, as you're breathing, go in, out. And you're not forcing your breath. Right. You're just, as you're breathing in your head, saying in. And as you're breathing out, as you're, you say out in your head. And then once you got that down, then you start counting in, out, 1.
Right.
In, out, 2. And you only go up to 8, and then you start over because they found that past 8 that your mind starts to wander.
Right.
My mind wanders before 8,
sure.
But whatever. But then it's like building up a muscle. You notice that you're wandering and you bring it back. You notice you're wandering and you bring it back.
Right.
It's like every time you lift a weight, 1 more rep, you're building up your bicep.
And what's crazy is as humans, we're programmed to do the opposite.
Right.
So when our mind is wandering,
we follow it.
You're right. Or we bring it back to, okay, well, now I have to stress out about this versus like when I first started meditating, I would fight it. When I would start to float off into my meditation station area in my brain, my brain would reel me back in and be like, well, what about this? We got to think about this, and I'm like, okay, this isn't going to work. So I started, instead of doing silent meditations, I started doing guided meditations.
Right.
And that's another resource a lot of people are scared or unaware of.
And you turned me on to the chakra balancing or whatever, where it like each chakra, and that's how it's pronounced, chakra, is a different chant, and it goes through the different chants for each chakra. So it's like lam, lam, blah, blah. It's different. Right. And I didn't mean that to sound like Sorry. But yeah,
I knew what you meant. I gotcha.
So the whole point is that self-study starts with meditation.
It does.
Meditation doesn't really have like
a blueprint.
I can help people learn how to meditate, and it's no judgment, but it's seeing what happens, seeing what you learn.
Right.
Maybe you don't learn anything. Maybe you notice that humming sound that you never noticed before because you were so busy flitting around that now you notice there's this weird humming sound. Should I explore that more? And so you are no longer ignorant
right
to the things around you. You're no longer ignorant to the things within you. Yeah. And you can then see the world and society.
Yeah. One of the best ways to improve yourself is to shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
I mean, truly. Shut your mouth and listen to other people.
Oh, yeah.
That is one of the best ways. Or shut your mouth and listen to yourself.
Right.
Ben and I talk about this a lot, where he has told me many times, like at night when he's working, or when he, now he's working by himself, like a lot. And that helps him so much. He works through a lot just working by himself, just with headphones on.
Yep.
And, that's his form of meditation. Some people's might be gardening is a good one. Coloring even, they're like, why do mentally ill people always color? Because it's a nothing activity. It's an activity that allows us, I say us, yes, I like to color. Yes, I'm mentally ill.
It gives you, there's also Dharana, DHRANA, which is another limb on the path, which is one pointed concentration. Mm-hmm. So you have dhyana, dharana, and samadhi are the last three limbs, and dhyana is meditation, and dharana is one pointed concentration, and then samadhi is total absorption.
Oh, okay.
So
you guys, I don't know anything about this. I'm just smart. Okay, go ahead. Just kidding. I really don't know anything about this stuff. We come into these, a lot of people probably think we prepare. I come into them completely blind. This is all Carrie. I'm just a guest with a good sense of humor. Carrie is 100% responsible for all of this. And I know nothing about these lessons until we sit down and start talking.
Right.
And honestly, that's probably a good thing, because you get real reaction out of it.
I have some semblance of a blueprint, and then trust me, you would not want me to do this by myself, because these would be 10 minutes or less, and I would just be talking to myself.
I'm the personality hire.
Yes. Exactly.
DEI
hire.
Happy Black History Month, by the way.
Yes, it is. We are recording this on February 1st, so yay.
Yay.
But that's the other thing, is we're so focused and hyper aware of being productive that when we see something, we want to fix it and we want to do. And yeah, there's things that need to get done, but if you go in ignorant or in twilight, that it's not going to be effective. What can I do? What can I do? Just listen.
Right, exactly.
Listen. And listen to understand, not listen to respond or to act.
Exactly.
Listen to actually learn. Listen to Black women. Listen to gay people. Listen to Indigenous people. Listen to your child. Listen to your cat.
Just be observant of other people's feelings. Like, it's not that hard.
Right.
Like, I'm sorry that gay people make you uncomfortable, but that doesn't give you, who cares? No, we don't care about your discomfort, just like you don't care that they're gay. Meaning, like, for their feelings.
Right.
You're not going to spare their feelings because they're part of the LGBTQ community. We're not going to spare yours because you're too much of an asshole to actually educate yourself. And I'm sorry. Now, you come to me respectfully and want to have a real discussion about it, let's have a real discussion about it.
Right.
But people are so quick, like you said, they're so quick to be inside their own head with a response
Right.
versus listening to the statement being made to them.
Right.
I can't tell you how many discussions I've been in where the person responds to me something completely irrelevant, or it doesn't make sense, or it doesn't actually help their case, or what, you know what I mean? Because they've already responded to me in their head and didn't hear my whole statement.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right.
Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up and listen to people.
Right. And that's this group Eager that I'm in that does anti-racism education and mutual aid and advocacy work. It's European Americans growing, engaging, and reconditioning. And when you join, they tell you for the first month, don't talk.
Fair.
Don't join, like, watch the conversations, but you don't have to actively participate. Just read and learn.
Mm-hmm.
But don't talk for like a month.
Yeah.
Sometimes I still don't talk.
Literally, I would. I'd be
just-
like, right, silent observer.
Right, exactly. But I'm learning, and it's also, they're also breaking down the tenets of white supremacy, and the like urgency is one of them. Overproduction, those kinds of things. Comfort.
Right.
Like, we do not have a right to comfort, but white supremacy tells us that we do.
Right.
But we want to be uncomfortable.
Well, I think
we want to have the hard conversations.
Right.
But we also want you to really think
Right.
about what's being said before you respond.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's an important point for anybody.
Right.
Like, you have. Yeah, people just.
Yeah.
I'm not a big people person in general. But I can be. I'm a nice person.
Right.
I just don't like people, as a general. Right, like.
You like a person.
Although we adore men individually, we agree that as a group they're rather stupid, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that's my favorite line in Mary Poppins, and for obvious reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I feel about all people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'll meet somebody personally, great, but going to Walmart makes me want to end myself.
Men in Black.
I love that movie. We were just talking about that movie the other day. I just watched it last week.
So when Will Smith is talking to Tommy Lee Jones and saying that, if we just tell people that aliens exist and that this is out there, people are reasonable. And Tommy Lee Jones, and I haven't seen enough to quote it, but I know when Tommy Lee Jones says a person is reasonable, but a mass of people are not.
Yeah, right. You will never appeal to the masses.
No.
To the whole mass as a collective.
Right. Because you have that hive mind.
Right.
Kind of idea going on, which sometimes can work, and sometimes, most times, it's
right.
Whatever it is. There have been enough movies like The Mist.
That's the stupidest.
I'm sorry.
Listen, okay,
it's horrific.
That's a M. Night Shyamalan movie, right?
No.
No, that was the what was the one that was M. Night Shyamalan then? There was one. That's the Stephen King movie, right?
The Mist is Stephen King.
Right. What is it? I forget what it's called. But there was an M. Night Shyamalan that was similar-ish, where they were like locked inside a certain area of land and by this mist, and they were like, don't go out in it because it'll hurt you. And then they find out it's not harmful at all and it's just fog.
Oh.
M. Night Shyamalan.
Well, there's The Village.
Is that it?
The Village is where the entire movie, spoiler alert, you think that they're in this like 1800s type village.
Right.
And they can't go past a certain area in the woods.
Is there a mist in it?
No. It's just woods.
Maybe that is it. I don't know. Is that an M. Night Shyamalan movie?
Yes, The Village is an M. Night Shyamalan
It's not
movie.
the one though.
But
There was like a fog around it, and it was like modern times. Like people were like flipping cars. Like it was like the mist could flip cars, or the fog could like flip cars, and people were like I don't know, but it was like the nothing and never ending story. Like it just came and nobody could figure out what it was, and so they weren't allowed to enter this fog because
I mean, there is a movie called The Fog,
maybe that's it.
but I don't know what that one.
Mist, fog,
Yeah.
village, whatever. Anyway, the point is,
If I find it, I'll put it in the notes.
we see it a lot in media.
Right.
And movies and, songs. We see that type of behavior. And that's one of the first things you learn about in sociology and psychology is a hive mindset and what do they call it? Like when somebody's calling for help, what they call it, like the shirking, like somebody else will do it mentality. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, this person's calling for help. There's 20 people standing around. Somebody else is going to come. I don't need to.
Oh.
You know
Which is why you yell fire.
Right.
And you don't yell help.
Correct. And so we see that all the time, every day, all day, every day. People just don't care anymore. And about each other, about the politics. They're just tired. People are tired. And so when we look at like selective ignorance, like maybe that's why. Maybe we're just trying to save ourselves a little bit.
True. But that's
save a little slice of sunshine in my brain, maybe.
And that's why I've decided that, now I forget what word I actually used, but I'm not going to chase things this year. I'm going to look and listen and
I like it.
Stay aware. This job has made me really hate the word aware. If you don't know, you don't know, and you don't want to know, so don't worry about it. No.
You don't need to know.
You don't need to know. It's an acronym. Which I didn't realize until a couple years in that it was an acronym, but
yeah, well, it made me aware of some suicidal thoughts, I'll tell you that much right now.
Accessible, web-based, something or other.
Something.
Anywho, yeah, so just staying, like, opening your ears, opening your eyes.
And sitting
not
with
even
yourself.
Your physical ears and eyes, because, some people don't have that. But the mindfulness.
There we go.
There you go. Of what's going on around you and inside you. And yeah, learn.
Yeah. Sit with yourself, man.
Sit with yourself.
It's not easy, especially if you have like neurodivergence like we do. It's not easy to sit and think about thinking, right? What is metacognition is what that's called. Thinking about thinking.
We're planning to plan.
So metacognition is something that I take advantage of. I mean, I literally just think. You just quiet your mind and comb through who you are as a human. How can I better myself? How do I need to be better? Like my life, where can I go? Just breathe and remember.
Where do you go, my lovely?
It's not an episode unless we sing. Mm-hmm. It's a rule, actually.
Yes.
Where are we at? Are we good on time?
Yep.
Okay.
So that's where we're at. So yeah, study yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Study books. Listen.
Shut the fuck up.
Yep.
Just remember that. When you start talking, just remember, Ramah said WWRD. Ramah would shut the fuck up.
Yes. WWRD. What would Ramah do? What's the D?
Did you ever have Jesus bracelets when you were in school?
Yes. I don't think I ever wore them.
What? You weren't a true Christian. Mm-mm-mm.
Well, some people don't think Catholics are Christians. So.
I know that. I was raised like that, and I was told at 10 years old my great-grandma went to hell because she was a Catholic.
Damn those Catholics.
Religious trauma, who?
Yep.
I was like, what? Because they pray, you guys pray to Mary, which is
We also pray to the saints.
And statues, the elves, as I call them.
The elves.
God is Santa and the saints are the elves. That's what I call them. I tell Ben, I'm like, you praying to your elves?
Anthony, look around. Something's lost that must be found.
No.
My mother was named Judy after St. Jude, the patron saint of lost causes.
Nuh-uh.
Yes.
Oh my God. Well, we sign our soul contract before we come to Earth, so we even know what our name's gonna be and everything. So she made that choice.
Yes.
Sometimes our names fit us very well.
Yes. Maybe I am a Karen.
Kind of, but in the best ways possible.
Okay. I would like to speak to the manager of social justice.
Literally. Get me on the horn right now.
Yes.
Who would that be? Let's talk about it. Who would the manager of social justice be? Greta Thunberg? I think she'd be very managerial.
Yes. Very pragmatic.
Very detail-oriented, autistic.
Yes.
That's what we need.
And I think it's technically Thunberg, but I don't know. It's German.
Right, I'm not German, you are?
Yeah.
Well, I am, but not enough.
Yeah, I'm like 70% German.
Yeah,
So
what was I, like 5% or something?
something like
I'm
that.
equally...
My great-great-grandparents were German.
So were Ben's. Ben's came over, I don't know, in the 1800s, I think, or something.
Well,
he thought he was Italian. His parents told him he was Italian his whole life.
I asked Charlie why there was such a migration in the late 1800s from Germany to like Indiana and Ohio.
Right.
And he said, because when you look at Germany today, that's not how Germany was. And it was you didn't have land. He said your great-great-grandparents came over and lived on a farm.
Right.
Right. They could have land here.
Right.
Even today, you really can't buy huge tracts of land in Europe.
Right. Yeah.
Because
it's populated.
It's populated and it's so expensive. So it's the land of opportunity.
Right.
So they came over here and they probably I don't think they had feudalism in the late 1800s in Germany, but this was, they didn't know.
Right.
but maybe they also had some forethought that there'd be someone like Spitler coming, but
maybe they did.
Yeah.
I mean, they were slowly. I mean, World War I was right around the corner at that point, and right around the corner. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Within a few decades. For people who are adults, that is a relatively short amount of time.
Right. Was it 1914 or
something like that? Ella, when was World War I?
Okay.
Ella knows history stuff, so I don't know.
Yeah, I know the inciting incident was the assassination of Archduke Francis Ferdinand.
Yes, I do know that. But I don't know what year it was, but I think 1914 sounds right, 1917, something like that. But regardless, I'm sure they felt like we've seen this shift over 10 years, so think they probably saw a similar shift.
Right.
Going in just a couple decades before all the shit took place. So
yep.
We started
and
taking
Charlie
place.
said that right after the Civil War until about 1880, there was a lockdown on immigration.
Right.
So when it opened back up, more people came. Because like my dad's great-great-grandfather came over in 1861 through the port of New Orleans and then went to Missouri.
That's interesting.
Yeah. He was from Alsace-Lorraine.
That's an interesting port.
Port of New Orleans.
Like to go to from Germany.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. So yeah, he came through
They
New
didn't have
Orleans.
GPS back then, I guess.
No. And then went to Missouri and fought for the Union Army, and he was a cook.
Nice.
And that was 1861. And then my mom's family didn't come over until 1880 something or other. But that's because right after the Civil War, it shut down. See, we are not ignorant. We study.
Right. But and it shut down because of the slave trade and stuff. So
right.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we were very surprised to find out Ben was my husband is very dark. He has olive skin and he has brown eyes and he had black hair before it turned the beautiful shade of silver that it is now. But he So he is a very dark complected man, especially when
He
he
looks
gets tan.
Mediterranean.
He does look Mediterranean. I wasn't when I first started talking to him, I did not know what nationality. I didn't care, but I didn't know what nationality he was until I met him, and he's like, "What? I'm Italian." And I was like, "Okay, that makes sense." And then he did 23andMe, and it turns out he's like really, really, really German,
Right.
like super duper.
Well, that's like Charlie looks at me and says, "You don't look German."
You don't. I mean, you have brown eyes too, so,
right?
Yeah,
And really dark hair.
and really dark hair, right?
And I used to have olive skin. Now I'm pale as F.
Ohio.
But I tan very easily.
Yeah.
And I guess different parts of Germany look different.
Yeah.
Like if you're more northern, you're pale and you have blonde hair and blue eyes. And I'm from the Rhineland, like my mom's family's from Alsace-Lorraine, which is technically in France. But they spoke a dialect of German, and so we're from Baden and Württemberg and Rhineland-Pfalz. Like the tattoo on my foot is from the Rhineland-Pfalz flag.
That's really neat. I didn't know that.
Yep,
that's cool.
The golden lion of Rhineland-Pfalz. So yeah, so.
The point is, don't be ignorant.
Don't be ignorant.
And also learn your own ancestry.
Yes.
You'd be mad surprised to find out what's mixed up in there. I promise you will be. And if you do think white people are superior, check your ancestry, because you probably are not all white.
Right.
I was not surprised to find that out about myself.
I am 99.8% white, but I love the one part of my 23andMe that says I'm like Iranian Caucasian. And I'm like, but the actual Caucasian, like from the mountains of Caucasus. Like
that baby might be mine. That one came out with an 800 credit score from the mountains of Caucasus.
Yes.
Anyway, I definitely I was shocked, and my mother was not happy to find out she blamed all of the non-European, white European genes on my father, so, which was inaccurate, by the way.
Right.
Because I had my dad's full sister, I had her 23andMe to compare it to, so.
Yep. So anyway, thank you for being with us.
Yeah, sorry about that little detour at the end. That's fun,
okay. Though. Take some time. Think before you react. Really listen.
Yep. Quiet yourself.
And the light, the guide in me honors the light, the guide in you. We love you. Peace out.
Peace out. Love you.